We want to get out and spread our message and have more people hear Bernie Sanders. The more people who hear Bernie Sanders, the more support we get. We had a great week. Monday, I don't know if you heard, but in Denver, Colorado, we have 10,000 people, a ruckus crowd ready to go. There's a lot of energy in the campaign, so we want to build on that tonight.
You are a native Texan. Texas is going to play a huge role in the primary this time around, the primary coming up earlier on Super Tuesday than before. What do Democrats have to do to win the Texas primary?
I think the key is cultural competency. People think about the Latino vote in Texas being monolithic, but it's so different. If you're a Latino like me from East Texas and wear a cowboy hat and have a funny accent, it's much different than a Latino in the Valley. And on the voter file, it still shows us just as Latinos. So whatever candidate can come in and have real cultural competencies and look at the nuances of the electorate will be the one who wins.
And how is Bernie Sanders trying to grow his coalition, reach out to Latino voters, get them on his side? You talked about that they're not a monolithic group, of course, but what's the outreach been?
I think it starts with the policy positions. You'll see in every poll that you've probably seen over the last few months, Bernie's winning the Latino vote. And in the latest Texas poll this week, we're beating Donald Trump more so than any other Democratic candidate. We truly believe it's about the issue set. Latinos want to be successful. We want to move into the middle class. We want to move into the upper class. We want upward mobility. Way to do that is to have a livable wage, have Medicare for all, make sure that public universities are free. These are the policies that really speak to Latinos. They speak to my family, which is Latino, and Latinos around the country. I think that's why we're really connecting.
And you were with the campaign last time around. What do you think is different this time around? How is the campaign trying to grow?
I think we're growing off the grassroots momentum that we had last time. The real key there is that we had this whole group of activists, and that's just grown. When we kicked off the campaign in New York City and Brooklyn, where Bernie was born and raised, we had a bunch of donations come in, and when we went back and looked at those numbers, 40% of all of those donations were from new activists and new people. So we want to take our coalition, and we want to grow that coalition because we believe it's that power that will really beat Donald Trump, is bringing more people into the system, like Senator Sanders says, make sure more people are involved. The more people that vote, the better we do and the better the chances we have of beating Donald Trump.
You mentioned that launch in Brooklyn. Does Bernie Sanders plan to talk more about his personal life, kind of how he has developed as a, in politics? People come up to him on the rope lines often and kind of pour their hearts out to him, and he seems to be making more of an effort to talk about himself a little bit more. Are we going to expect that?
I think so. That's been a big difference in the campaign, is him talking more about his personal narrative. People kind of just discovered Bernie Sanders in the last election, in the last primary, and a lot of people liked him. We went another step this time in the kickoff in talking about his families. Back to your question about Latinos. His father came here from another country, couldn't speak English, didn't have any money. That's my grandfather's story. So I automatically relate with Bernie Sanders because of that, and I think that's another reason he does so well with the Latino communities. There's some relatability with that immigration story that really hits home.
And then finally, anybody else on the stage tonight that you think Sanders is likely to engage?
I think that there's a lot of people who now are Bernie Sanders ideas, who are replicating or talking about his ideas. So I think that there's a group of candidates that are outside of the top tier, 1, 2, or 3, us, Biden, and Warren. Look for that next level of candidate to try to have their moment tonight, whether it's Julian Castro, whether it's Senator Booker, Senator Harris. I really look for the folks who are not in the top tier or in the top 1, 2, or 3 to really do something to try to break out.
Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, apologies. That clearly was not Senator Sanders. That was Chuck Rocha, Senator Sanders' senior advisor of Latino outreach.